Hello and welcome back to the Snivy Pad. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share with all your friends. So, today we will be covering a deck list based around Reshiram and Charizard GX. As you probably can tell, this will be our main focus and main Pokemon and attacker on this deck. So it is a 270 HP Fire-type Tag Team GX. Tag Team word means it'll take 3 prize cards to knock out instead of only the regular 2. So, its first attack is Outrage for 1 Fire Energy, 1 Colorless Energy. Does 30 damage plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on it. So this attack will mostly come in handy late game. Late game, you're usually going to have a bunch of damage counters on there, and you can deal a maximum of 290 damage counters to your opponent with 260 damage on you. Because you'll be adding 30 to that 260, which equals 290 damage. There's 2 energies. But that's not our main focus of the card. The main focus attack is second attack, Flare Strike. For 3 fire energies and 1 colorless energy, does 230 damage. It states this Pokemon cannot use Flare Strike during your next turn. So, that we can negate that effect by switching to another Reshizard on the bench, or just doing a different attack like Outrage or Double Blaze GX. Speaking of Double Blaze GX, what that attack does is it does for 3 fire energy cards, it does 200 damage. For 6 fire energy cards, it does 300 damage. Simple as that. It has 3 retreat costs, which is pretty much negligible because we play a bunch of Switch in this deck, which we will get to later. The main engine for this card will be Welder, which basically lets you attach as many energy cards as you want, well, in a relative state. So yeah, that will allow you to get all these attacks. The main strategy with Reshizard is to go second and then use a GX attack on your first turn. That will allow you to knock out pretty much anything your opponent can throw at you at the first turn, because then you can just knock it out. They'll be in a very tight situation, or if it's very low HP, then you should be able to knock it out next turn. They're not going to get a VMAX in the first turn. It's literally impossible, because you have to break the rules in order to get a VMAX. Chances are you're either going to knock something out or you're going to get very close to knocking something out. If you do knock something out, though, your opponent will be in a very sticky situation and you'll be able to win it easily. So moving on to our secondary attacker, we have Ninetales V. Ninetales V is another Fire-type Pokemon. This deck is based around Fire-type Pokemon, so you better get used to seeing those. It has 200 HP. Its first attack is Ninetales Shapeshifter. This is the attack we're going to be focusing on most. For 1 fire energy and 2 colorless energies, it says choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. Basically, it's the same thing as Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team's ability, except it's even better. You don't have to use the attack cost. So you could be facing something like an ADP Zacian deck, which is the best deck in the format right now, other than Pikachu and Zekrom. You'll be able to use his GX attack, the ADPs, and you'll be able to take an extra prize card for the rest of the game, which is insane. So, that's going to be basically our main attack on here. It'll also be able to counter stuff like Zacian, because it'll be able to one-hit those. So its secondary attack isn't very good, but you can use it in tight situations. Flamethrower, for 1 fire energy and 3 colorless energies, has 180 damage, and you discard energy attached to it. It's not the best, but it can get you out of a tough situation. Moving on to our backup attackers, we have 1 copy of Victini V, 190 HP, Fire-type Pokemon. First attack for 1 colorless energy, Spreading Flames. Attach 3 fire energy cards from the discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. Basically, this will allow you to accelerate energies. Well, it will allow you to accelerate energies, but only in a relative form. You'll only really be able to attach it to Pokemon that use fire energies, which will only be your real big attackers. You'll want to attach it to stuff like Reshizard or even Victini itself, because Victini's second attack, Energy Burst, for 2 fire energy cards, does 30 damage times the amount of energies attached to both active Pokemon. Me and my personal experience, I've been able to hit all the way up to over 400 damage with this attack. It might not seem like a lot at first, but if you can really pile the energy cards on there without having your opponent knock you out, it can deal massive damage in a pinch. So our last attacking Pokemon is going to be Double V. Double V is the colorless Pokemon for a change, and it has 210 HP. Its ability allows you to take 30 less damage for attacks, which is one of the best abilities in the game right now. So its first attack and only attack for 3 colorless energies is Revenge Blast, 120 damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. It's pretty much only going to be viable in the endgame, but it can get you all the way up to almost 300 damage per swing. So that'll be for attackers. So for our support Pokemon, we have Absol. Absol, the only reason why we play it is for its ability, like most support Pokemon. All it does is it gives your opponent's basic Pokemon 1 more retreat cost. It can really help out, especially like tanky decks like Snorlax, because you can just pull up a defenseless Snorlax and swing for so much damage. Because they will not be able to retreat unless they have a switch or anything, but that is going to be unlikely because usually those decks don't play that kind of stuff. So our second support Pokemon and our last actual Pokemon is the Dedenne GX, the Lightning type, and it has the only reason why we play it again is for its ability, the Dedenne change. Whenever you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 6 cards. You can't use more than 1 Dedenne change per turn. So this is essentially going to be a professor's research, except for 1 less card. You're essentially going to be able to use 2 supporter cards per turn with this. Except you're going to have to keep this on your bench. That can easily be removed, though, with cards such as Scoop Up Net. Although you have to put it on your bench, it will allow you to discard your hand and draw 6 cards. This can get you out of a tough situation, especially in the early game when you don't have any cards in your hand that you need, or in the end game where you only need 1 more card to win. So moving on to our item cards, we have Cherish Ball, which is search your deck for a Pokemon GX, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck afterwards. This can search out anything from Dedenne to Reshizard. It can search out almost all your support Pokemon. It can search out your main attacker. You could pretty much use this at any point in the game, and you'll be satisfied with what you get. It's pretty much a staple card for any deck like this. So moving on, we have Fire Crystal, which states put 3 Fire Energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. This is basically one of the staples we have in all fire decks. All fire decks use this card. It's basically Energy Recycler, except it goes right into your hand, which is insane. You can get a Pokemon knocked out, and then you can just get those energies right into your hand, ready for you to weld it back on. It might not seem like a good card, but when you play it, it will come in clutch tons of times. So we also have Great Catcher, which is another item card. States when you can only play this card from your hand if you discard 2 other cards from your hand. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon GX or Pokemon EX with their active Pokemon. It's another gusting card. Gusting is currently a term used by the Pokemon community for any card that can switch your opponent's active Pokemon and bench Pokemon without their consent. So basically, this will allow you to disrupt them immensely, and it will allow you to take their cards and move where if you want, especially in the early game and the late game when they have both slow Pokemon, low HP Pokemon, and weak Pokemon on the bench. Especially if you're close to knocking out a Pokemon, or you've already knocked it out, and they use an ability or they use a switching card to put it back into your bench. You can switch it up right away. So we also have Pokegear 3.0. Pokegear 3.0 states, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may reveal a supporter card you find there and put it into your hand. Shuffle the other cards back into your deck. This is one of the only supporter search cards we have in the format right now. This is basically all you're going to be able to do to get out your supporter cards, other than to manually search them through Professor's Research, Marnie, or Dedenne, which we will get to later on in the video. So this card will allow you to look at the top 7 cards and you will reveal supporter cards. Chances are, if you play more than 1, you'll get what you're looking for, because you'll shuffle your deck afterwards. Usually, this is a very good option to include in any deck, especially in this deck when you rely on supporter cards for your entire deck. So, we also have 3 copies of Quick Ball. Quick Ball is the most well-rounded Pokemon search in the format right now. It is the best Pokemon search we've seen in a very long time. And all it does is you discard a card from your hand and search deck for basic Pokemon. That's all there is to it. Most decks nowadays are only playing basic Pokemon. If not, then they're playing only 1 or 2 Stage 1 or Stage 2 Pokemon. So this will be able to search out every single card in our deck without question. Unless they're the prize cards in the discard pile, which you won't get to later in the game. Early game especially, this is an insanely good startup card. It can get you pretty much whatever you need whenever you want it. So we also have Switch, which is, as the card states, you switch your active Pokemon and your bench Pokemon. It really can't get more simple than this card. Switch is a classic card. It's been around since Pokemon was formed, since the card game was formed, since everything started. And it is still one of the best cards in the format. You need to be able to control your own bench so that you can't let people gust up your cards. So our second to last item card will be Tool Scrapper. Tool Scrapper states two Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon or your Pokemon and put them into the discard pile. It's pretty much another self-explanatory one. You need to be able to get rid of tools, especially if your opponent has good tool cards out, such as Metal Goggles, Medical Barrier, or if you have your own tool cards that you just want to get rid of to replace them with other tool cards. So, speaking of tool cards, we have our last item card, which is a tool card. We play 4 copies of Burning Scar, which says if the fire Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an opponent's attacks, even if it is knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now burned. Burned is one of the most effective special conditions in the format right now, and is the most damaging one in the format right now. It takes 20 damage in between turns, which is extraordinary. So, now we can go on to stadium cards. We only have one stadium card. We have 3 copies of Giant Hearth, which states once during each player's turn, the player may discard a card with their hand. If they do that, player searches their deck for 2 fire energy cards, reveals them, puts them into your hand. Then that player shuffles their deck. It's pretty self-explanatory and is another staple in every single fire deck right now. So, moving on to our last category, which is supporter cards. We start off with 2 copies of Boss's Orders. Boss's Orders is another gusting card and is a staple in every single deck. Every single deck should have at least 2 copies of this card, and we do have 2 copies of this card. It states switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with one of their active Pokemon. It is pretty much one of the most simple cards in the format right now, and one of the best cards in the format right now. Like I said earlier, you really want to be able to control your opponent's bench and their playing field. Gusting is one of the most effective ways to do that right now, and actually it's one of the only ways to do that right now. So moving on, we also have, starting off, our tag team supporters. We have Guzma and Howell. Guzma and Howell will let you search for a stadium card, or if you discard 2 cards in your hand, a special energy card and a tool card. This is basically here just to reinsure that you'll be able to get all of your stuff out. Our second tag team supporter and our last tag team supporter is Mallow and Lana. Mallow and Lana is another switching card, and it will allow you to switch your opponent, switch your active and your bench Pokemon, as the name implies, and you'll be able to discard 2 other cards from your hand. If you do, you'll be able to heal 120 damage from the card going to your bench. This can really help you out, just like Switch can, but it's even better because it'll allow you to heal. It's like combining 2 cards into 1. So, another staple card here, we have Marnie. Marnie is pretty much the same thing as Judge from an earlier format in Sun and Moon and X and Y. And it will allow you to shuffle your hand into your deck on the bottom of your deck, and then draw 5 cards, and your opponent draws 4 cards. It is exactly the same as Judge, except you'll draw 5 cards, and your opponent will draw 4 cards. Like I said earlier, this pretty much should be in every single deck ever right now. It is an insanely good card, especially good for disruption decks. So, we will be moving on now to some matches here. We will go on to our versus mode, which is the best way for Pokemon players to face each other. So we will be loading into a match here. By the way, the versus reward has reset to a Melmetal and Lucario reward, so make sure you guys go and take advantage of that and make sure you grind out those cards. Those cards are actually really expensive cards. They can be worth up to 5 or 6 Battle Styles packs right now. So make sure you can cop those while you still can. You should have about 3 weeks to get those. So your opponent has called the coin flip, and we are going to go second. So the strategy with this deck, like I said earlier, is we want to use our GX attack first turn. So we have gotten a mulligan from our opponent, and we have also gotten a Reshizard. So we'll be able to put that into our active, and we will see what our opponent has gotten. It appears that he's playing a fire deck, but we have no idea which deck he'll be playing. Okay, so I was correct on a fire deck, and he will be playing such as Welder and Reset Stamps. This will probably be another disruption deck. We do not know, though, what his main card will be. So we will draw a new card from a mulligan. So let's see what we get. It's just a fire energy, so we are good on that one. So it looks like he's going to be playing some sort of Victini version, because as you guys probably know, your new Victini VMAX card has been released in Battle Styles, which we will be covering in a video later this week. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So he will be using Quick Ball to get out a Torkoal V, and will be attaching a Psychic Energy back to Victini. Now he's going to be using Primate Wisdom to switch card on top of his deck and draw a brand new card. So it is now our turn. So first things first, we need to attach an energy to Reshizard. We are going to use Pokegear 3.0 to try and get a welder. We do succeed, and we do get a welder here. So we will be able to knock out the Victini with that first turn GX attack. So we're going to use Welder to attach these two energies to Reshizard. We're going to draw 3 more cards to get switches. Not really anything useful now, but we will be able to use them later. So now we have enough energies on there. We're going to swing first turn. We're going to use a Double Blaze GX for 200 damage. That's going to give us 2 prize cards first turn. So our 2 prize cards will be a Fire Energy for the first one, and for the second one, another Reshizard and Charizard. So we will be able to put that onto our bench next turn, but first we need to see what our opponent's going to do. So he's putting up his orangutan here, or guru as most people call it. So he'll be using his ability, attaching an energy card to Torkoal, and he's going to be using Professor's Research as well to draw a fresh hand of 7 cards. So let's see what he'll be able to do. He's putting another Torkoal on the bench. It is now our turn. So what would really come in handy here is a boss's orders. A boss's orders, we'd be able to put up the Torkoal, we'd be able to knock him out. But unfortunately, we have not been lucky enough to get one of those right now. We might be, though. We might still have a chance if we can pull off this Dedenne here. So we're going to Dedenne charge into 6 new cards, and we are going to get nothing but a boss's orders. So we have not gotten the boss's orders, unfortunately, but we will be able to use Flare Strike and knock out our Guru. So we will be taking another prize card here. Which will be a Ninetales V. So he will be putting up a Torkoal V card here. I'm guessing he will not be putting up the one with energy cards on here, because he does not want that to get damaged. He wants to be able to build that card up. So while we are waiting for our opponent here, I'll have a chance to tell you about our next video coming up. So later this week, we'll be doing a Battle Styles review here. We'll be doing top 5 cards from Battle Styles. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you'll be looking forward to that. So our opponent has now playing his turn. Pull up Welder here. I'm guessing he's going to attach 1 energy here. Yep. And he will be attaching a second energy. He will have enough to swing for his first attack for 90 damage. So he will be pulling out another Welder with his ability here. And he will be putting down an OKKO. He's going to be switching with Dance of the Tribute, drawing 3 more cards. And I believe he's going to be passing here. Yep, I was correct. Okay, so we will now put down our double V card here. And we're going to play Great Catcher to get rid of Guzma and Hala and Great Ball. Okay, so we have gusted up now our OKKO. All we can really do is our Outrage attack, but that will not stop us. We will attach onto our Reshizard, and we will be using our next one of the Burning Scarves here. We've gotten a well played from our opponent here. We might be looking at a concession. We've whiffed the Pokegear 3.0. And we have not seen a concession out of our opponent. So it looks like he is still in the game to be playing here. This game is still in play. So you've done 30 damage to the Reshiram and Charizard here to OKKO GX. Using another Welder here onto Torkoal. So now he has 4 energies on there. He will be able to swing for his full 120 damage. Let's see what our opponent is going to choose to do. He's going to retreat your OKKO into the Torkoal. And now we wait to see what he is going to decide to do. He's going to use the Steam Crush attack, 120 damage, and we have to discard 2 energy cards. He is burned. He has taken his damage for his burn. Okay, so we are going to use our second and final Dedenne card to discard our hand. We need a welder here, or at least some form of a welder. We have the energy cards. Now we're going to use Pokegear 3.0, and we have gotten the welder. So we will be able to knock out his Torkoal V card with the welder here. So you're going to attach the 2 energy cards to Reshizard and Charizard, and we will be able to attack with Flare Strike for 230 and the knockout. Now we will only have 1 prize card remaining and only 1 more Pokemon to knock out for the win on this game. So let's see what our opponent decides to do here, who he decides to bring up. Anything could be the KO here for us. Looks to be deciding what card he's going to be bringing up here. He's going to choose the Torkoal V card. Let's see how he's going to play out this turn. He's going to reset stamp us. That will not be helpful for him because we did not have that much anyways. And we have a Boss's Orders. A Boss's Orders is going to be a perfect card here. Unless he plans to just tank the attack, we will be able to knock something out with Boss's Orders this turn. If we do not get gusted again, or we don't get reset stamped, we will be able to bring up the Chinchino, and we will be able to knock that out. So he's going for a welder onto Torkoal, and it looks to be that he has no 3rd energy in his 3 cards that he has drawn. So it appears that we will be winning the game here if our opponent cannot pull anything else out. Let's see, and he does get the 3rd energy off. And he will take the KO on us here. So it'll be 3 prize cards from our opponent. And we will be bringing up a Reshiram and Charizard card. So we will be attaching our next energy, and I will gust up with Boss's Orders up at Chinchino, and we will swing for 30 damage on it. Chinchino, he'll have to get an energy or something at least to pull him out of the active here. He's going to use his Make Do to draw those 2 cards. Let's see, did he get an energy or not? If he gets an energies here, he will be able to attack with his Torkoal again, and he will probably be able to 2-hit or even 3-hit us. So he will get an energy, but he will attach it onto a Torkoal. He may be throwing the game here. If I were my opponent right now, which I am not, I want to win this game as much as you guys do, but he is making a very poor decision here to put that energy on there. He's getting another Torkoal V, but unless he has a switching card, he has the welder, but will he be able to switch the Chinchino? He will, though. He will be able to switch the Chinchino, which is a very smart move on the Scoop Up net here. So they'll give him a well played over here. So he will be discarding those 2 energies. Alright. So it looks like we will have to pass this turn right over to our opponent because we do not have many options here. If we are not able to get some form of energies here, then we might be whiffing the game. Alright, so he will be doing another 120 damage to us here. So let's hope we can get an energy card, and we have gotten the energy cards that we need here. So we will be able to get 3 energy cards on here, and we will be able to pull out the victory on this game. A surprise victory here, and a clutched victory from that welder here. If we had not gotten the fire crystal, then we would not have been able to use outrage, and we would have not been able to knock out Torkoal. This was a very close game for our opponent and for us, and we are very lucky to be pulling out with a victory. But we have, and that's all that counts. Alright, so this has been a very good showcase of Reshizard, and to end the video off, we are going to be receiving a prize for winning that game, which will be 2 tournament tokens. Alright guys, well I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions or just want to spark a conversation, be sure to leave it in the comments below. And make sure guys to have a great rest of your day.